The forest was in full bloom, vibrant flowers carpeting the ground in a riot of colors. The mushrooms, Lilo, Mortimer, and Jasper, stood under their favorite oak tree, admiring the beauty around them. "This is amazing," Lilo exclaimed, her red cap glowing in the sunlight. "I've never seen so many flowers before." Jasper nodded, his pale cap almost blending with the pastel hues of the blossoms. "It's like a dream." Mortimer, however, was more focused on the flowers than the conversation. He eyed the blossoms with a greedy glint in his eyes, a plan forming in his mind. "What if we could have all these flowers just for ourselves?" he mused aloud. Lilo laughed, thinking he was joking. "Mortimer, that's silly. The flowers belong to the forest." Mortimer didn't respond. Instead, he plodded silently, his desire for the flowers growing stronger. He knew the forest would be easier to control if he could get rid of Lilo and Jasper. They were too trusting, too naive to see his true intentions. As the days passed, Mortimer's plan took shape. He would lead Lilo and Jasper away from the heart of the forest, where the most beautiful flowers grew, and then he would find a way to trap them. Once they were out of the way, he could claim the flowers for himself. One sunny morning, Mortimer approached Lilo and Jasper with a proposition. "I've heard rumors of a secret garden deep in the forest, filled with the most beautiful flowers. What do you say we go on an adventure to find it?" Lilo's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That sounds wonderful, Mortimer. I'd love to see it." Jasper, always eager for a new experience, nodded enthusiastically. "Me too. Let's go." Mortimer led them through the forest, taking a winding path that seemed to go on forever. Lilo and Jasper followed, their trust in Mortimer unwavering. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the scenery grew darker and more foreboding, but Mortimer assured them they were on the right track. After hours of walking, they reached a dense thicket. Mortimer turned to his friends, a sly smile on his face. "The garden is just beyond this thicket, but it's too thick for all of us to go through together. Lilo, you and Jasper wait here. I'll go ahead and make sure it's safe." Lilo and Jasper agreed, sitting down to rest while Mortimer pushed through the underbrush. He made his way to a hidden clearing where he had set a trap, a deep pit covered with leaves and branches. If he could lure them here, they would be out of the way for good. Mortimer returned to Lilo and Jasper, pretending to be excited. "I found it! The garden is just ahead. Come on!" Lilo and Jasper eagerly followed him. As they stepped into the clearing, the ground gave way beneath them, and they tumbled into the pit. Lilo and Jasper landed with a thud at the bottom of the pit. Confused and scared, they looked up at Mortimer, who stood at the edge, grinning triumphantly. "Mortimer, what's going on?" Lilo asked, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Lilo," Mortimer said, though he didn't sound sorry at all. "But I want all the flowers for myself. With you two out of the way, I can have them." Jasper's eyes filled with tears. "Why? Mortimer, we trusted you." "Trust is a weakness," Mortimer replied coldly. "You should have known better." With that, he walked away, leaving Lilo and Jasper trapped in the pit. The two mushrooms sat in stunned silence, trying to process the betrayal. Lilo, ever the optimist, refused to give up hope. "We have to find a way out," she said, determination in her voice. Jasper nodded, though he felt hopeless. "But how? The walls are too steep." Lilo looked around, her sharp eyes spotting a few roots protruding from the walls. "We can use those roots to climb out. It won't be easy, but we have to try." With Lilo's encouragement, they began their arduous climb. It was difficult, and they slipped many times, but they refused to give up. Slowly but surely, they made their way up the walls of the pit. Meanwhile, Mortimer reveled in his newfound freedom. He roamed the forest, claiming all the flowers he could find. But as the days passed, he began to feel a strange emptiness. The flowers, once so alluring, no longer brought him joy. One evening, he returned to the clearing where he had trapped Lilo and Jasper. To his shock, he found the pit empty. Panic gripped him as he realized they had escaped. What would they do to him if they found him? Mortimer wandered the forest, haunted by guilt. He remembered the times they had spent together, the laughter and camaraderie. He had betrayed his friends for a selfish desire, and now he was alone. As he walked, he heard a familiar voice. "Mortimer!" He turned to see Lilo and Jasper standing a few feet away. They looked tired and battered, but determined. Mortimer's heart raced. "Lilo, Jasper, I'm so—" Lilo interrupted him, her voice firm but kind. "We know, Mortimer. We've come to understand why you did what you did. But we need to talk." They sat down together, and Mortimer poured out his heart. He explained how his desire for the flowers had consumed him, blinding him to what really mattered. Lilo and Jasper listened, their expressions softening. "We forgive you, Mortimer," Jasper said quietly. "But you have to make things right." Mortimer nodded, tears in his eyes. "I will, I promise." With Lilo and Jasper's guidance, Mortimer began to make amends. He returned the flowers he had taken, carefully replanting them in their original spots. The forest slowly began to heal, its vibrant beauty returning. The three mushrooms worked together, their bond stronger than ever. Mortimer learned to appreciate the flowers not as possessions but as a shared wonder that belonged to everyone. He found joy in their beauty and the happiness they brought to his friends. One afternoon, as they sat under the oak tree, Lilo turned to Mortimer. "You've changed, Mortimer. We're proud of you." Mortimer smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. "Thank you, Lilo. I couldn't have done it without you and Jasper." Jasper nodded. "We're a team, and together, we can overcome anything." As they watched the sun set over the forest, casting a golden glow over the flowers, they knew that their friendship was the most precious thing of all. They had faced betrayal and hardship, but forgiveness and love had brought them back together. From that day on, Mortimer, Lilo, and Jasper lived in harmony, their friendship blossoming like the flowers they cherished. They had learned that true beauty lay not in what one possessed but in the connections they shared and the love they gave to one another.